Expert Show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Nevada. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the area of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We have got some incredible experts on this morning. Our first one is becoming very, very famous on our show, Dr. Gupta. We do a weight loss show together, and I got to tell you, he is amazing. This is our 12th year of Ask the Experts, and I got to tell you that we have had all kinds of experts in the area of weight loss, but never have I had an expert like this that is a MD. He's an internal medicine doctor. Once in a while, we'll get a chiropractor. We'll get a weight loss company that deals in food and diet. But never have I had an expert that is like Dr. Gupta. And his whole theory, and the name of his company is called Mindful Wellness. Mindful Wellness. And though they're out of Los Angeles, he takes clients all over the world. So you can be in any city and you could actually call him. But the first thing that he does is he sits down with you, or it could be over the phone, or it could be over video. He sits down with you and does a whole history and physical on you. Because think about it. How can there be one pill that works for everybody? How can there be one thing that works for everybody? So he first has to find out what the problem is that's causing you to have a weight gain. And then once he figures it out, then his next job, which is really hard, is to keep you from backsliding. And Dr. Gupta, let me give you his company again. It's called Mindful Wellness. What he does is just amazing. And I like the fact that he has brought on a emergency room pediatrician. And the reason he has brought on this physician is they actually start with kids 14 and up. The kids need to be taught at an early age. And we were discussing on one of our shows, when I was growing up, the first thing we did in school was we went out and played, whether it was on the sidewalk, it was in the streets, it was on the playgrounds. We got exercise, is the bottom line. Nowadays, kids come home from school, and the first thing they do is they go to their room, get on the phone with their friends, they video games, but there's a lot of sitting that as a kid, myself growing up, we never had. We were always out playing till dinner time. So it's so important that kids learn at an early age about weight loss. If you're watching right now on our screen, we are scrolling Dr. Gupta's phone number. It's 310-220-4543. Um, the only problem when you have a doctor, it's not really a problem, but when you have a doctor who is an expert who still works at the hospital and he's in internal medicine, emergencies come up. And I think that's what's happened this morning is he had an emergency come up, and we will excuse him for that. But I think we've done so many shows together that I can actually, without him even being here, educate you. Now, we're not going to give away the secret sauce. If you want to lose weight, maybe you have a family member that needs to lose weight. What a great Christmas present. And again, it doesn't matter. They don't have to be in California because they can actually do a video call. And it's very easy. We do it all the time now since COVID. We can do a video. They can do a video call, learn about any health issues you have, because Dr. Gupta has a whole arsenal of things in his bag that he can do to help you. And they're getting some of the most incredible results. But I think the great part about working with Dr. Gupta is you cannot make a mistake. I mean, the reason why it's called mindful wellness is it's really about the mind, and it's about taking baby steps. And it's about, if you have a bad day, you haven't ruined the whole program. And it's not about just eating, and it's not about just working out. There's so much more to it. We've actually talked to several of his patients, and I have never heard anybody so excited about the next day that they can't wait to continue on with the program. So usually it's like, oh my God, I'm not looking forward till tomorrow. I have to eat stuff I don't like. I have to starve myself. Oh, I got to go to the gym. I don't really feel like going to the gym. So this is amazing. He doesn't have that problem. So it makes you really excited about the program. And again, and I'm trying to write my producer. I just noticed I spelled, and I just did it again. Our next show we're going to be doing on tax resolution, and we have attorney Elizabeth Brown coming on. And I don't know how this does it, but when you type out sometimes on your computer, the word you typed out doesn't come out that way. So I'm looking at our attorney that's coming on next, Elizabeth Brown. Boy, did I spell Elizabeth wrong. And I hope my great producer will catch it and get that changed. Anyhow, her name is Elizabeth Brown. She's an attorney. And after this show, our next show at 10:25 Eastern time will be on tax resolution. But getting back to Dr. Gupta, he is such an amazing doctor. I mean, to basically give up a thriving practice to go into weight loss is really God sent. I have learned over the years. See, I've got so many shows that we do. We've got roughly about 12 shows we do. And I mean, we have 12 markets, and that means there's probably about 25 or 30 shows we do a week. And in my job, I do a lot of sitting. I do sitting to do the show. I do sitting to write the show. I do sitting to find new experts to come on our show. So bottom line is to do a lot of sitting. And I had extremely high blood pressure that I didn't know that I had. And the only reason why, especially if you don't go to the doctor, I mean, many people go to the doctor for at least an annual checkup, and I didn't do that. I was too busy. And I hope you won't do that either. Because when you have high blood pressure, it causes damage on your kidneys. And the bad thing about damaging your kidneys is you can never repair them. You just want to keep them from getting any worse. And my being overweight caused me to have high blood pressure. And because I didn't know I had high blood pressure, I didn't take care of it, and it damaged my kidneys. Once you damage your kidneys, then you have a whole set of health issues. And I wish I would have known what I know now back then. I mean, I would at least probably, like I do now, I get up about every hour and a half and just go walk for about 10, 15 minutes, and I come back. But our lifestyles are so different now than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. So the main thing is that I want you to take care of yourself. If you find out if you have any health issues, I didn't do that. But that's what's so amazing about Dr. Gupta is he will find out what your health issues are, and then he will proceed to work with you not only to lose weight, but also he helps get rid of stress. And if you don't know this, stress causes weight gain, and it causes you to lose sleep. And I have found out that when I get 8 hours of sleep in, that I feel so much better than if I only got 3 or 4 hours of sleep in. So Dr. Gupta also works with you with stress. And if you can beat stress and you know what your health issues are, you can lose weight. And what's great about Dr. Gupta is he helps you to keep the weight off. And I think that is so important because over the years, I've heard people who have lost weight, but end up not only gaining it back, but they gain back more than they lost. And it always became a problem with them, both physically and mentally. And that's another place where Dr. Gupta comes in. He's also bringing on a physician that deals in women's health issues. So for women that have problems with hormonal problems, which happens a lot in women, he will be treating them also. So what he's putting together is probably going to be, and he's going into other cities. I think he's in 10 or 12 cities now, but it really, besides having an office in that city, it really doesn't matter where you live. You can contact Dr. Gupta. For those of you who are either listening on radio or podcast, it's 310 220 4543. That's Dr. Gupta. The name of it is called Mindful Wellness. They also go by Mindful Weight Loss too, which was their original name. But since they're adding so many more weapons to their arsenal, they're changing it to Mindful Wellness. 310 220 4543. I guess today was one of those days that Dr. Gupta had a call at the hospital. It does happen. We've had it happen once before. And Dr. Gupta does 4 shows a month with us. He does 2 of our California shows. He does our Arizona show, and he does our Nevada show. But you can actually hear him in any city at all. It's just we promote him by market. And if you want to hear any of his shows again, you can go to YouTube or you can go to iHeart. And all you have to do is put in Ask the Experts Los Angeles, and his shows will all come up. And I got to tell you, his shows are so fascinating because the information that he gets out is so valuable. But the bottom line is it works. So I'm sorry, Dr. Gupta had a call come in, and I want to tell you, we've opened up in New York now. We're also in Philadelphia now. We're in Atlanta, but we just opened up in New York. If you have a business and you want to reach a wide range audience in the New York area, please give us a call at 954 336 3767 to become an expert on our show. This is our 12th year in business. And I would tell you probably 80% of our experts have been with us for at least 5 years. That's pretty amazing. So if you are a lawyer, which our show does extremely well in the legal area, or you're in health or finance, our financial shows do incredible for our experts. Please give us a call. Again, we just opened up in New York. Half the show is already gone. We have two more openings in New York. We have one opening in our Philadelphia market and one opening in our Atlanta. Atlanta is actually all of Georgia. Philadelphia is actually all of Pennsylvania, New York. And we are also in Chicago. Chicago is not available anymore. Our next show is probably requested more than any other area that we do. Tax resolution. For some reason, many of our viewers and listeners request if we don't have a tax show in a certain market. We get so many calls, people requesting a tax relief show. And there is so much information out there that people do not know, do not understand. And what our next show is going to be about is don't try to do this yourself, folks. It seems like the people who try to do this themselves either stick those letters from the IRS in a drawer thinking they're going to disappear. They don't disappear. They don't know what their rights are. And really, what's so important about our next show is you do not want to try to do this yourself, because you're going to go up against experts, IRS experts, that are probably going to be way smarter than you or I. And you can really cause yourself a lot of trouble by trying to do it yourself. So that's why I'm so glad our next expert, who will be coming on with us in just a minute, is with us. We're going to go to break. And when we come back, we have attorney Elizabeth Brown with Defense Tax. We'll be right back.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back. This is the Ask the Expert show. We're with you every week at this time. And we have got the most incredible expert with us. She did our first show with us last month. And we got so many letters from you, the listeners, thanking us for bringing a show like this. And I'm so glad that she's back with us. Let me introduce you to attorney Elizabeth Brown with Defense Tax. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Doing well. Boy, you've already got a fan club already. We got more letters after your last show with us. People just thanking us. And I know that you educated our listeners and viewers, because people just don't know. They've never gone up against the IRS. They have no idea. And that's what makes this show so valuable. First of all, tell everybody about yourself. You're an attorney, and Defense Tax.
Yeah. So, myself, I've been practicing tax law for the past 10 years. As you know, we discussed before, I navigate the complex tax codes and regulations to assist my clients with compliance matters and tax planning. I've assisted clients with tax matters ranging from preparing missing tax returns, audits, overdue taxes, to prosecution by the Department of Justice. And I've represented clients in all 50 states. Our company, Defense Tax Partners, we're a nationwide tax firm, and we assist clients before the IRS and state tax authorities. Again, we assist clients with tax compliance matters, such as tax filings and tax liability resolution, audits, audit reconsideration, and representation before the U.S. Tax Court.
Elizabeth, you've been doing this for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Why do people pick that letter from the IRS in a drawer, not even opening it up, and think it's going to disappear?
You know, that's always we always wonder ourselves. But if you do receive a letter, don't hide it in the drawer. The first thing I would always tell my listeners if they've received that letter is don't delay in taking care of it. The longer that you delay, the more, penalties and interest will accrue. Also, the IRS has a lot of collection tools at their disposal. They can garnish your wages. They can levy bank accounts. They can put liens on your homes. And in the worst case scenario, they can send you to jail. So don't don't delay in dealing with the issue. And the second thing is, I want the listeners to understand is that hire an expert to help you. Hire somebody, hire a professional. Don't try and do this yourself. There are over 6,000 pages of IRS tax code. It is a beast. It is a very complex matter. Hiring an expert to help you through this will result in getting you the help that you need and should help you prevent all those things that the IRS can do to collect.
Boy, I tell you what, those 3 letters, IRS, to me is so scary. And now they have to tell us that they're going to put on 80,000 new agents who are going to have a gun. I mean, how much? They didn't need to tell me that to scare me at all. But how is that going to work with all these new agents? Is that going to make your job tougher?
Well, what they're doing is they are auditing, they are looking at a lot more tax cases. They're looking at a lot more taxpayers' filings. They have increased their technology so that they are able to handle many more cases. So in the past, where you hear the chances of you being audited are very slim, those numbers are increasing. Have you seen in the news where celebrities and a lot of high profile cases the IRS is starting to go after these individuals? What I've realized, Steve, too, is that it's not just the high profile cases, it's not just celebrities, but we're seeing a lot more individuals and small business owners get audited by the IRS too.
They're not just going after the rich, are they?
No, they're increasing audits across the board.
And we had, I guess, 3 or 4 letters wanting to know, you handle businesses also, not just personal income taxes.
That is correct. All types, everything from your sole proprietorship, which is usually your Schedule C, to small and medium-sized businesses.
So walk me through this. So when a person contacts you and they've gotten a letter from the IRS, walk me through what you do next.
So it depends on the type of letter. If it's an audit, we like to get involved in the audit as soon as possible because we can set the tone of the audit. And there's 2 different types of audit. So there's an audit by letter, and then there is an audit by an actual auditor. But the letter could also be an underreporting issue. So we need to immediately reach out to the IRS, which we do in every case. We speak to either the auditor or the IRS themselves and get a hold on any type of collection actions. And then we will engage the auditor, the revenue officer, whomever sent the letter, to discuss what the actual issue is in the case. And then depending on what that issue is, will depend on how we go about resolving the issue. But again, if it's an audit, obviously they're going to want to look at business records. They're going to want to look at business expenses, profit and loss statements, usually bank statements. So what we do is we prepare the case and we present it to the auditor in the client's best interest.
You know, I've heard so many times that people will try to, let's just say, save money and handle this themselves. And I have heard so many times, Elizabeth, that because these IRS agents are really good at collections, that people say things that if they had someone representing themselves like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you would have never shared that information with the IRS. That people many times get in trouble for trying to handle it themselves and not knowing what they can say and what they can't say.
Right. Right. Yeah. Steve, my biggest job is to protect my clients' rights and interests. That is the most important. That is the most important aspect of my job. So, again, I like to give the example: if somebody had a heart murmur, they're not going to try to fix it themselves. They're not going to go in and perform an operation on themselves. They're going to go to a cardiologist. For the same reasons, if you have a tax issue, you do need to reach out to a tax professional and reach out to defense tax partners and let us handle the issue for you.
I think having someone like yourself represent them, at least it makes the playing field a little bit more level, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Many times, whomever is representing the IRS, whether it's an agent, an officer, an auditor, they're not attorneys. They are, and they usually have not studied case laws and regulations or the tax laws. So they don't know they don't always understand when the rules, how they apply. I'll give you an example. We talked about this gentleman last time. He was a trucker, and he had represented himself in an audit. The auditor had completely misanalyzed the itinerary C rule, which is the rule that states individuals who are allowed to take travel expenses for their business and when they are not allowed to. So if you don't have a state of residency, you're just traveling all year round, you're not allowed to include business expenses in your, you're not allowed to include travel expenses in your business expenses. But our individual did have residency. He had a home in Massachusetts. And because the auditor had misanalyzed that rule, he ended up owing tens of thousands in additional taxes. Once we got a hold of the case, we immediately filed a petition, and we were able to negotiate a settlement, which resulted in him not owing anything because we understood those rules. Yes.
Wow. It kind of reminds me, you see a lot of advertising by companies that brag that they got someone who owed $1 million in taxes. They got them off for 50 cents. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you know what I mean. Is that really true?
Yes, I have seen that myself. We've experienced it. We've had cases like that ourselves. Every case is different, Steve.
Right.
There's a lot that goes into preparing a case and looking at all the different resolution options and what would work best for clients. I cannot say that everybody who owes $1 million would be able to pay it off would be able to negotiate it down to $5. But I have seen that.
Well, I'm looking at all the questions that people are writing in right now. Here's a really good one. Really enjoying the show. Thank you so much for bringing the attorney in. My question is, I work out of my house and I keep hearing different things of how much I can write off of my office being in my house. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to preempt my answer with every case is different. So,
yes,
we'd really need to know more about the business and everything. But in general, just generally speaking, if you have a business out of your home, you can write off a percentage of the use of the home. If you have an office that is only dedicated to that business, Or, for example, if you have a lot of products that you show and you need storage, you can write off, if you have a storage unit in the back, you can write that off as expenses. And then your general expenses. So if you use your car for your business, as long as you're tracking your mileage correctly, you can use your car as, you can count the mileage as business expense, your office supplies, things like that. There's a lot that you can use if you have your own personal business.
I guess my last two questions, because they're going to be sort of long, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I think you're perfect for both of these questions. One is, what advice would you give our listeners, just in general?
Yeah. Again, that's always a great question. The first thing I would say is, if you get an audit or a notice from the IRS or your state, first thing is, do not ignore it. You talked a lot about it at the beginning of the show. Don't just throw that letter in the drawer and put it away. Address the issue now, because the IRS, the longer that you delay, the IRS or the state will continue to charge penalties and interest. I don't know if you know this, Steve, but the interest rates right now that the IRS is charging is the federal short-term rate plus 3 to 5 percentage points.
Oh my gosh.
Type of taxes that you owe. Is actually less expensive right now to go get a loan from the bank than it is to owe taxes for the IRS.
Wow.
And they can also charge penalties, as I stated, and they will continue to do this until those taxes are paid off. And then the second point that I would always tell a client is, or always tell an individual, is go hire an expert. Call us at Defense Tax Partners.
Something I never realized is, when you have a business, you do not want the IRS to have to go in and figure your taxes out.
No.
They have no idea what your expenses are.
Right.
And what your write-offs are. Is that correct?
That is correct. If they file a return on your behalf, they're going to, usually they won't, unless you provide them those business expenses, they won't include the business expenses, and they will file the return as single. So you don't get credits if you have dependents. You don't get to write off, you get the standard deduction. You don't get to write off, the interest on your home loan, things like that. So you get no credits, standard deduction, no dependents, single, which is the highest tax bracket. If you do provide the business records, they're going to go through and they're going to say what they will allow and what they won't allow. And while if you are providing the records, that substantiation you should be able to use that to reduce, as business expenses, to reduce your overall income. But again, remember earlier I said they tend to misanalyze tax laws and regulations. So if they misanalyze that can result in additional tens or if not hundreds of thousands in expenses that then you get assessed for.
Well, that doesn't give you a reason to make sure you do your taxes, file your taxes. We've got a couple minutes left. Tell people, first I want people to understand, if they retain your services, they no longer have to themselves have to talk to the IRS. You then handle that. Absolutely.
Not only do we, do they not have to, we actually insist that they do not talk to the IRS. They do not talk to the state revenue agents because of the reasons that you said before. Anything that they say could eventually be used against them. So we like to have a really good picture of what is going on in the case. And then we present the case to the revenue officer, to the agent, to the auditor, so that we are sure their rights are being, the client's rights, the taxpayer's rights are being protected.
Tell me why I should have tax defense representing me rather than any of these other companies out there. And you can be humble.
I'm always humble, Steve. What are you talking about?
Tell people the difference.
Yeah.
In your representation.
So I've worked with defense tax for many years now. And so what I'm going to say, and what I truly believe, is that there's really no substitute for defense tax partners. We have helped thousands of taxpayers save hundreds of millions of dollars in back taxes, tax assessments, audits, and other various tax liabilities. We work hard with our clients to resolve their tax issue. Each case is overseen by an attorney, and then it's assigned to a team. And in that team, if the case requires a tax attorney, the tax attorney will handle the case with a team of individuals such as your enrolled agents, your case managers, your administrative assistants. If it doesn't require the expertise of a tax attorney, then it's assigned to an enrolled agent and their team. That, again, you have case managers, administrative assistants. We work very hard with our clients to get them the best results.
Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm so glad that we have you as our expert. Educate people, and I think this is such an important area. And I'm just so glad there's companies out there like yours that are there to help people. Let's give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Yeah, that's so again, it's Defense Tax Partners. Our website is www.defensetax.com. And our telephone number is 1-800-803-8584.
Okay. Very good. Elizabeth, thank you so much. And you're going to be on with us again this month. We're so glad we've got you. You're just a wealth of information. The name of the company is Defense Tax, and we hope you'll give them a call. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Steve. Have a great day.
You too. That was Elizabeth Brown, attorney Elizabeth Brown. And please give them a call. It's so important to get this taken care of. That's it for us today. We'll be back with you again next week with more Ask the Experts. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.